Okay, right. So this one is I'm actually re-videoing this one. This one is from the 2nd of the 3rd, 2025. It's part of the Bridge series. This will be part two of the Bridge series, and this one's called Zombie Apocalypse. Now, the reason I'm redoing this one is there was two parts to it. So I had two dreams within the same night, and originally I filmed this all as one dream. Well, not one dream, but one video, sorry. But they are both independently actually worthy of a separate video. So when I did go through it, and I kind of realized one of them, which is called, I'm going to call it something like the hive parable or a bee parable, something like that. I realized that it really needed its own individual video because it wasn't really in keeping at all with the whole Bridge series. So I've done something separate, and also with the Zombie Apocalypse one, I listened to myself back for the first time on after I'd filmed it, and I realised that actually I now understand the full meaning, because in the original time where I go through it, I'm kind of completely lost and thinking, yeah, I mean, I don't know if this has got any meaning at all, So, but now I'm washing up, just listening to myself, just to see what it sounded like, whether it made sense. And I got it. The meaning just flooded in. So I was like, right, okay, I'm refilming this. Okay, so this one, as I said, this is Bridge series. This is part two, and this one's called Zombie Apocalypse. Okay, so hopefully I'll do this justice, and I've tried to write down some of my notes just to kind of prompt me into the meaning. Okay, so this was it was set out in very much like a post-apocalyptic kind of world. When I'm sort of writing this down, or at the time, I didn't know, what kind of country I was in, or anything like that. But there was this, some sort of zombie outbreak that came suddenly, and one of the highest priorities for me was to find some transport. Obviously, in reality, you're going to want to make sure you're able to sustain, resources like food and water and stuff like that. But beyond that, it was looking for transport. Obviously, you see that in zombie movies and stuff all the time, don't you? So I'm looking for transport, and I've got a really low expectation to find some. But I come across this huge grass car park. So it's basically just a big patch of grass I've come across, and I've just noticed, whoa, there's huge rows and rows and rows of cars, and it's just all grass. So it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, and so I wrote down, like a car graveyard. So for whatever reason, those cars are there, and I think it was probably something like maybe a music festival or some sort of big event, where everyone's pulled up, and then the outbreak obviously happened at that point, because none of the cars are really gone. I think there may well have been some cars gone, but it's really just a huge car park, and so I'm basically looking around for a car that I can actually use. So as I said, I've got really low expectations. I'm kind of thinking, well, what's the likelihood of me actually being able to get a car that's got both fuel and working battery? A working battery is my highest priority, because obviously you can easily take fuel from one car to another. Battery is obviously not quite as compatible, but so I've got really, really low expectations. But and what I should say is, the reason I've got low expectations is because of the feel I get is that this has been going on for a while now. So this kind of post-apocalyptic kind of look, where everything's all run down, and stuff all over roads, and you don't see anybody anywhere. That kind of, again, what I mean by that. Is that as I said, I had really, really low expectations I was going to find anything, but it was clearly that we were in this. We'd been in this scenario for a while now, and so obviously a lot of people were dead and stuff like that. Okay, so so as I said, I'm looking around. I'm checking all the cars, seeing if they're starting and stuff like that. And I managed to actually come across one. So this was an absolute banger. It's a real old-looking car, bashed up, but it started. So I mean, that's all I'm looking for. So, and I'm basically part of a group of, I would call, survivors. Really, we're a group of survivors, and we're looking for transport, we're looking for food, and I was pretty much in this bit where I'm kind of looking around cars. I'm pretty sure I'm on my own. completely on my own. But I know I'm very aware that I am part of a group. So this is simply the mission that I've been sent out on. Was, look, we're going on a supply run sort of thing, like you would do for food or whatever. This was, we need to get some transport. Go and see if you can find some transport, and then and come back to us. So that was my mission. That was going on. But yeah, pretty much on my own. But yeah, we were. Actually, no, I think maybe there were some others with me, but they were kind of scattered around within the car park. But we were very, very cautious because we didn't want to attract any kind of attention. So we were kind of going, like you would do, creeping around a bit, because of if there's zombies in the area, you don't want to attract any kind of attention that will draw them in. Again, like you see in zombie movies. So exactly like that. So I'm not looking to attract any kind of attention. I'm trying to keep quiet, trying to keep low, as I'm wandering around all these cars. As I said, I get this car, and I'm sort of creeping out of this place and onto almost like a driving on like abandoned roads. Basically, I think it was like a bit of a dirt path initially, and then probably turned into a bit more of a major road further down. But yeah, I'm heading off along these kind of abandoned roads, really, heading somewhere. I don't really know where I'm heading. I remember at some point looking at a map. This was an online map I was looking at, and it was I put here a map of, I can't quite see where it said countries or counties. I'm going with counties, I think. Now, what we call a county in the UK is what you would call a state in the US. Now, this was funny because when I originally did this, I couldn't think of the word county. I was like, what do we call states in the UK? I completely lost it. I was on like my 7th video or 6th video of the day. I was a bit burnt out, but yeah. So counties. I think it's talking about counties, and I'm looking at these online maps. Where am I? Online maps. Yeah, so looking, and I'm seeing states, I'm seeing state borders and stuff like that. I'm looking for somewhere to head to, so I'm navigating back to, I imagine, wherever I came from, because as I said, I was out on a mission, and then I imagine I was told to obviously return with this car. Yeah, and then it kind of, after I did that, I saw this little bit where I was going off on the road. And then, as I said, and I'm looking at maps and stuff, trying to get home. Then it flips to another scene, and I saw this may well be this could have actually been the beginning of the dream, and I've just remembered it out of sequence, so I'm not 100% sure, but may well have been the beginning of the dream. But I saw someone who was looking to escape an office environment. But they got grabbed by a zombie, and then they turned into a zombie. Okay, now this will make sense because there's another office bit later, so I think it's the same office, and I think it's almost showing me an intermediate part because there's a bit that's pre zombie bit as well, so which is a bit further on. So I think it might be little flashes like you see in any kind of film, don't you, where you see a little backstory as to this is before this happened. I think it might have been a bit like that. So saw a bit of a flash of what the initial outbreak, where people are still more or less working as normal. They're in their office environments, obviously. I mean, at this point where I'm looking for cars, nobody's working. Society's completely broken down. It's done. It's proper. What's it called? Just complete anarchy. But yeah, I got so this person gets grabbed by a zombie, actually bit. But what I got a sense was that they had intelligence. So these were they were kind of like zombies in that they looked sort of dead and kind of rotting, I suppose, that kind of thing, which is why I would define them as zombies. But at the same time, there was an intelligence behind them. So I wrote that they were almost a little bit like vampires, because obviously when you see vampire movies, they're not dumb. They've got thousands of years of being alive, and they're pretty clued up as to what's going on. Very manipulative, obviously, in vampire movies and stuff like that. But intelligent, really intelligent and organised. And what these zombies were doing, so I don't know whether this is almost like a higher up the higher, kind of like a more, I don't want to say the word more evolved, but you know what I mean. But maybe these were slightly more intelligent. Maybe these were like the first of their kind, and they were a bit more intelligent. And then further down, like the biting sort of bit, that they were getting less and less connected to the source of the original outbreak, if that makes sense. So these ones are a lot more intelligent, and I didn't really get the sense of them being super intelligent actually when I was in the car park. So like I said, it might be that they kind of changed slightly. So, sorry, I keep going close to the screen because if the light behind me keeps on phasing it in and out of darkness. So, in my bathroom, it's got a lock. It's a good spot for doing videos, but not great because it's always backlit, unfortunately. But yeah, sorry. So, yeah, so these vampires sort of things. Anyway, and they're planning to take over the cities. Now, that's a bit of a strange intention, isn't it? So it's an early stage-ish outbreak, and I get a sense of they're planning and they're trying to take over cities, which a zombie's not going to do. It doesn't have any intelligence to do that sort of stuff. So as I said, these are organised. These are a little bit different. Anyway, but they're bloodsuckers, essentially, is what they are. Anyway, so and then jumps back to me driving again. So I'm driving, and now I'm actually in a convoy. So I guess there's maybe some other people that have found some cars as well, and we've met up somewhere, and now we're going along and we're crossing a bridge. So this is part of obviously the bridge trilogy actually of dreams I've got. So was it a trilogy? Now I say that. Was there 4 dreams? There might be 4. Sorry, forget the trilogy bit. But yeah, crossing. It was the part of the bridge series. So this bridge is a high bridge. So what I mean by that is it's high up in elevation. So it's very, very high up. It's a standard bridge, you know, just sort of, you know, curving off slightly and connecting the 2 points. But it's very high up, and either side of the bridge, it's almost like a big ravine. You know, it's not a sheer drop. It's a slope. But you know, you go off this bridge, you're in trouble. You know, which you are in most bridge scenarios, hence the bridge, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so while I'm getting onto this bridge, something suddenly goes wrong on my car. I mean, obviously I don't know this car. It's a car I just picked up out of an old car, you know, that I just picked up out of a car park. But it's a bit odd because it seemed like I was connected to the car in some way. And what I mean by that is there was a laptop to the side. So again, I knew when I was filming this that I was in the US, but at the start of the dream I didn't know where I was. And I know I'm in the US because I'm driving and I'm on the left hand side of the car. Obviously in the UK I'd be on the right hand side of the car, so I know it's the US. And this laptop's on the right side of me, which I see flipped open, and I'm connected up by a lead. And on this screen, I'm seeing an engine light come on, and it's also showing me like a picture of the car, very, very basic picture of the car, and it's showing. It's a little bit like when I reverse, you know, it shows kind of like the things behind you and how close you are to things behind you. It's a bit like that, you know, it showed a car from above, and next to the tyres, every now and then it was flashing red. And what was happening was, without me doing it, the car was applying brakes, and it was picking up some sort of, you know, there was resistance on the wheel, and it kept on slowing me down. And the thing was about this, it was actually making it quite difficult to handle the car, because obviously if I'm trying to handle the car and then suddenly the brakes come on, if I'm in a turn or something like that, it might spin me off, because I'm going at a pretty decent speed across this bridge with at least 3 or 4 cars in front of me that are part of the convoy. I'm right at the back of the convoy, and basically this keeps happening, and it happens so violently that it just completely locks up. At least one or two wheels fully lock up, but I'm at speed when this happens, and I'm trying to handle the car, and I basically just spin off the bridge, and I go over the edge of this bridge. Now I'm early enough at the bridge that obviously, you know, you would see a bridge and all the cables coming up and some sort of side to protect you from going over. I was early enough at the bridge that this violent spin and me going, you know, all over the place was enough to you know, tip me, and I went off the side of this bridge. Now I'm not sure whether I went rolling over the bridge, you know, literally just rolling down this slope, or whether I was kind of going front ways or anything like that. But I seem to remember it being sort of sideways at the bottom. And so I hit the bottom. I lived through it. I mean, I'm on my own anyway in this car, and then I'm starting to and I'm looking up now, because I've fallen, I want to say about 300 feet, roughly about 300 feet, I would say, from my vantage point. And because it's a slope, I'm now seeing the bridge just a little way off, and I'm looking up and I'm seeing the cars, kind of continuing to go, and I'm thinking they're probably not even seeing the fact, because I'm at the back of the convoy, they're probably not even seeing me go over the edge. Um, but I realised that through my laptop I actually have access to essentially the command centre, the camp that I'm coming from, I'm heading to, and I'm trying to get out to them and sort of say, look, guys, I've just literally dropped hundreds of feet. I can't see any way. There's no way I'm going to be able to climb out. I don't think, because of it's so incredibly steep. And I'm basically looking to reconnect with the group and get them to see if they can come, pick me up, rescue me, because I can't. I'm looking around and the car's just done. It was already a bit of a wreck anyway, and this is just smashed to bits, and I'm just looking around and just sort of thinking, I can't see how, I'm going to get anywhere from here. I mean, I don't know where I'm at. I've got my laptop, but how much battery is that going to have, and how am I going to navigate? But I was basically saying, getting them to sort of like ping me my GPS location on the basis of, I think, my laptop or something like that, and come get me. So that's how that kind of part of it ended. Then it went back to another flash. So then it flashes into, again, see this as another sort of flashback in a film or something. It flashed back to now completely pre zombie apocalypse. So this is where again in a big open plan office. I'm pretty sure it's the same office. Pretty sure it's the same office that I then saw these zombies / vampires come in to the office. So I think that's what kind of happened. Obviously, I mentioned saying that I saw, somebody who was trying to escape from the office. I seem to remember them coming into the actual office, but I didn't actually go through that level of detail, but I'm pretty sure they did actually come into the office. But again, in this flashback, this is pre-zombie apocalypse, and I'm just in this office, same office, and it's back to when I'm younger. So I did actually work in a big open office. My very first job when I was 18, 43 now, not for much longer, but yeah, 43 now. And I was just basically doing normal tasks. So it was kind of like an office junior job. But in this dream, I'm going around and I'm getting drinks for people. I'm actually getting food for people. Now, I never did that. I never was getting food for people. We had a little canteen thing on a lower level. It kind of like had 4 floors. Well, no, if you're not including basement, probably another 2. But you would go off and obviously you would eat, you'd have your plates and stuff like that down in the canteen. You wouldn't have it on the level that I was at, but I was carrying plates like I was kind of like a waitress, picking up all the empty drinks and clearing tables. It was kind of like that, I was trying to balance them all on my arms, and I've got like a tray that's got all these drinks that are balancing, and and I'm walking along with a guy, or one of my friends that I'm working with, and not helping me at all. I'm like, can you help me out a bit, because look at all of what I'm not trying to hold. This is probably gonna go everywhere. This is like your food, this is your drinks, and everybody else that I'm doing this for, but you're not helping me out whatsoever. So I was kind of a bit sort of put off by that, a bit annoyed, a bit irritated by that. And then it jumped to, again, it's just a little bit, it's just, I suppose, showing me office life, before this all happened, normality. And then it jumps to another part. So this is then back to the apocalypse. So I'm now back to zombies, about and all that kind of stuff. Now, in this bit, I've basically broken into somebody's house. So this kind of looks like it was almost showing me an earlier supply run. So I broke into somebody's house, and I'm seeing like typical like Wild West kind of like wanted posters. There's just a couple, wanted posters, but my attention was drawn to these wanted posters, and which was odd, because who would have wanted posters in their house? I imagined this was just another abandoned house, like so many that I guess we'd gone to for supplies in the past. I was going to this house, and I was actually in. It felt like a basement, to be honest. It was all kind of a little bit dark, and I didn't see any windows or anything, so it felt like a basement. And I was wandering around, and I looked like I was working on a computer. So I'd basically taken apart, like an old sort of style sort of tower desktop computer that's got all your motherboards and your, all that sort of stuff. Apologies. And I've taken the side off, and I'm pulling out all these circuit boards, and I'm looking to see what I can salvage. Now, in reality, I have absolutely no skills with regards to any of that sort of stuff at all. But we did, obviously, when I was younger, we were buying, we were doing upgrading our computers in the early stages of computing before laptops really existed. And you used to like upgrade your CD player thing, you'd upgrade your graphics card, you'd upgrade your motherboard, you'd upgrade your RAM and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I was doing. I was basically salvaging, and there was more than one computer in there. It almost looked like a little network room where this whoever was living there had been using these computers. So, but then what I noticed was one of the people who was wanted, as in I'd seen these couple of posters, was actually the dad of the dad came down the steps. So he came, again, this is where it made me feel like a basement, because he was coming down the steps into this room and I wasn't expecting him. I was kind of thinking, well, what, surely you must have heard us breaking in through the doors and stuff like that, but you haven't done anything. And this guy just comes down casually. Just casually comes down. It's not like he's come down with a baseball bat or anything just to smash me over the head or anything, or attack me or even confront me, really. He just came down and he seemed to just sort of be interested in what we were up to. So it was almost like, I'd broken in, but it was like this guy was kind of on our side, if you see what I mean. And that could just be a kind of a human camaraderie, maybe. But I still think that, people, if they're going to be wanting to hoard, their food, they're going to make sure they've got supplies and stuff. So I would imagine it's going to be every man for himself sort of scenario, and that's kind of what I was expecting. But given this lack of reaction from the guy, I felt like I actually knew this dad. I actually felt like I knew his son that I'd seen on this wanted poster, but I wasn't kind of put off by it. So again, these are criminal posters, wanted posters, obviously, wanting both of them. And I wasn't kind of worried for my safety or anything like that. And I wasn't, as I said, I wasn't scared, nothing like that, Yeah, that's where I'm going to end it, because then it jumps into this second part of the dream, and I haven't kind of put a little gap in there, because the second dream was actually a small dream, but it's actually really profound. So I'm going to go through my thoughts. So as I said, my initial thoughts were, not sure so I'll read it. Look, my initial thoughts were, I'm not sure, on the zombie apocalypse sort of bit, whether this has any kind of teaching whatsoever. But for transparency, I didn't even write that. So I did have an engine light. I still have a periodic engine light that flashes up every now and then. I did find out that one of my dreams, it might have even been this one, I had as I said, I had an engine light that came up before an engine light actually came up in reality. Oh, actually, no, I remember that. That was one of my other dreams that I've put in this series. So sorry, that's the other one. So I think at this point, yes, the engine light and stuff like that had already come on my car in reality. As I said, it comes on, it's on for a day or two, then it goes off for a week, then it comes back for a day or two or three, then I think I need to do something about this, and then it goes away for a month, then it comes back for a day, and then it goes away for 3 months. It's a bit like that. I think it's like a sensor problem or something like that, but I do need to get it sorted. But again, for pure transparency, yes, car problems have been on my mind. So the brakes could be to do with that. But this has deeper meaning, and this is what I'm going to go into now. So, I'm going to remind myself here, just real quick. So to break it down, so zombie apocalypse, what does that mean? Okay, so what I think this is depicting in various parts. So I'm going to go back to, I'll explain it. So zombie, who is the zombie? What is a zombie apocalypse? Right, so what I believe this is, from going through from the beginning. So I'm wandering around, I'm trying to get cars, I'm salvaging, I'm trying to get stuff. I believe this is representing the believers, the tribulation saints. This is what I think this is. Okay, so that is me as a tribulation saint. So I found Christ, but I found Christ after the rapture. That's already happened. Everybody's gone. That's probably part of the reason why I'm not seeing anybody around. Not many people around. But obviously, it's more to do with the destruction. As I said, I'm quite a way in. This will help explain other parts. Okay. So again, I'm unable to get any supplies, partly because there could be a beast system the beast system, which is in place. Again, if you don't know about that, watch the video I've called the beast system, and that will give you everything you need. Well, not everything you need to know, but a good foundation as to what the beast system will be. And it's going to basically those that are Christians, that say those that are or identify as being, how do I want to say this? People who do not want to partake in a satanic government, essentially. Those that want to be outside the system, they're going to be pushed outside the system. So they're not going to be able to buy or sell or partake in society. They're going to be completely squeezed out. So this reminded me of like me being this person, salvaging stuff, that kind of thing. It was like I'm used to it, maybe we as a group have been doing it for a while. So the fact that I'm part of a group, part of a camp, part of a command center, made me think of, the command center, as being a collection, like a church, like an underground church, a place that we're all hiding out. But it could have greater meaning, command center, maybe that's the command center above, that kind of thing, where we're getting our guidance, through prayer and stuff like that. But as I said, so me, the salvager, I am representing the tribulation saints and the greater saints as part of this remnant of people that are left and are still around. But we're being hunted by zombies. This represents obviously the non-believers. These are the people who are part of the beast system, and they're the ones who hate Christians and are hunting them down to kill them, which is exactly what these zombies were doing. And the part I mentioned, the vampires. So there's an intelligence behind them, yes, because the zombie is representing those that are dead. So they are already dead, in that they're dead in their sins, their own sins. It says in the Bible how you are dead in your sins, and Jesus comes to bring life to you. Okay, so that's what the zombie is representing, is the non-believer, those that are dead in sin, those that are really bent on killing the Christians and wiping them out. Okay, and the intelligence, as I said, is the fact that the vampires, I said vampires because they were organised. They had intelligence. They weren't just mindless. They were mindless later. So what does that represent? I think that represents the intelligence of those behind all of these. The beast system may be coming in at the early stages. Obviously, there was that little flash of it was all quite new, and this was just happening. That being like the complete panic of the beast system comes in. Those that are not being part of it, they're going to be hunted down. They're going to come into your workplaces. They're going to come to your homes, and they're going to take you away. So again, that's what that represented for me so clearly. It was not clear at all yesterday. Now, crystal clear. Zombies represented non-believers, dead in sin, the walking dead, essentially. And us, as I say us, the Christians who are left behind. I hope I'm not one left behind and I'm taken up in the rapture before this all happens, obviously. But these are those that are hanging on. They're just hanging in there. They're hanging in there waiting for Jesus to come back. And people that are Christians will know when he's coming back. They'll know to the day, because it's in prophecy, okay? So as soon as the abomination of desolation happens, this is where the temple in Jerusalem is desecrated by what the Antichrist. So Antichrist simply means, a replacement of Christ. So somebody who is looking to kind of like be like him, but completely replace him, essentially. So that's the Antichrist, who's just going to be demonic, seriously demonic. And again, if you want to see stuff about that, I do have a dream that was all revealed to me. That one's, what is that called? I don't know, Temple of the Antichrist. That's in my End Time series, so you'll find it there. So End Time series, and that was so vivid. That was an incredible dream. But that's what this is all representing to me. Okay, so there's an intelligence at the beginning, when it's just the outbreak, because of people are organised. Then it's mindless. So this is where the masses. We have then the masses, like a zombie apocalypse starts small, and then it just exponentially starts really increasing, and it's like a virus flooding everywhere. That's what it will probably be like. You're on board or you're hunted down, and the whole society is going to be partaking and participating in hunting you down as a Christian and eradicating you through vengeance, probably because of all of God's judgments that are coming upon the earth. All of that kind of stuff. It's just complete desolation, complete as I said, the environment I was in was horrendous. Okay, now we go, I think that's enough on that part. Then we go to the basement bit, you know, so where I was just talking about obviously being in the basement. Now that to me, on reflection, why was I so calm? Why was he so calm? As in the dad coming down the stairs. Why did I felt like I know him? I felt like I knew his son. I feel like that these were, again, Christians. They were part of the resistance, essentially, you know, resisting the beast system. He's hiding out, you know, he's doing what he can do, but ultimately, and I had a feeling that maybe I had a feeling his son was dead. Actually, he was wanted, but he wasn't there. I had a feeling he was dead, and maybe that's what's also motivated him to push back against what's kind of going on. But again, in the context for this, because I'm obviously blurring that with what will happen, is that obviously there's a zombie apocalypse, and he was just making sure that we had what we needed. He probably didn't really have a great need for all of these computers that were just sitting down there. I don't think there was even power, you know, around anyway. So what possible use could he have for these just completely, you know, just dead computers, really? So he was perfectly fine with doing that. Wanted posters. Why the wanted posters? Well, it's almost like he took them as a almost like he found it funny, you know, these wanted posters. And I think, as I said, it's because of he's not done any crime whatsoever, but he's wanted because he's a Christian, and so he is essentially an enemy of the state. Okay, so again, I thought that was a deep dream with really good meaning, really good meaning, which I've now had revealed to me. Okay, so I did the initial run, and I just said, I don't know, zombie apocalypse, and that was pretty much it. Okay, I'm going to do the dream that was part of the other one now, and I'm going to do that separate. So this is the next one is going to be completely separate from the Bridge series, but this is great. This is really great, this one. And this will be called, as I said, either I haven't decided yet, but either like the bee parable, or, yeah, I think I'll go with the bee parable. And it is just like a parable. And I'm going to read to you the parable that it relates to. I'm going to explain what a parable is for somebody who's not a Christian who doesn't know what a parable really is. I'll explain it and I'll give you an example. Okay, so I'm going to go into that one now. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed actually going through this and going through the meaning again, getting fresh revelation. I actually put it on a comment, like I pinned my own comment on my own video, and I thought, no, I'm just going to redo it. You know, at this point only one person's watched it, so that's fine. So hopefully, yeah, you found this interesting. See you in the next video.